Hello and welcome to the second episode of Leave Your Hat On. It's been a long time since the first one, so we're all just debating whether we can remember what we're supposed to be doing here. My name's Dan. Hello. I'm joined by Fab as well.
Hello.
From Linux Outlaws, who you'll probably know. And we're joined by a very special guest today. The second guest, or actually no, the first guest.
The first ever guest.
Didn't have a guest. Yeah, okay. So, we're joined by my good friend Andrew Bates, also known as oscillating online, and he's just up the road in Widnes. So, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Dan. And Fab.
I keep calling you Andy. Is that bad?
That's my fault because I say Andy all the time.
Nah, it's fine. People call me whatever they want. People call me expletive names, and I don't care.
Right. Okay, in that case, we're going to call you. What should we call him? Fuckwit or something?
Well, this is an adult show, so I think. I mean, the intro kind of sets the scene, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is the second show, and just because everyone's forgotten probably what the first show was and what it was about, we just decided...
We don't know.
Cool.
We have no idea.
Yeah. Well, since
ourselves.
it's quite cool to have, like, Hangouts and stuff on Google with video, it's quite nice to have funny hats as well, so we're all wearing hats.
Oh, yeah, we should introduce our hats, so you go...
There's nothing funny about my hat.
Alright, okay, so...
Let's go into it, then.
Got in.
Start.
Want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm wearing this hat that barely fits into the frame because it's so big. I have to go like that. There you go. It's actually a Stetson. It's a proper American Stetson hat from my good friend Betty, who Fab knows as well, over in Texas, who came over to see us in 2008. It's a long time ago now.
Oh,
and
God.
She brought this hat over as a present. So I've got it still, and it's really great because, as I've mentioned before, it makes you, when you wear this hat, it makes you just instantly want to go like that to people, and howdy, and ma'am, and all that kind of stuff. It's just one of those things. So yeah, that's my hat. So what's yours about? It's a bit like a Public Enemy hat. Or something.
Yeah, I'm wearing a baseball hat this time. It's a Pittsburgh Pirates baseball hat. I'm doing a Benjamin Sisko since I don't have any hair anymore. Now I'm also wearing baseball hats, and since I'm a fan of the Pittsburgh Penguins, I thought baseball related, the Pirates are the next closest thing. Plus, they're Pirates. I mean, it's the coolest team ever. So that's my hat.
Well, my hat, if people aren't aware, due to the design, it's from a little-known film called Back to the Future Part 2. It's from the future scenes where Marty McFly is in 2015. And most people will probably remember the scene where Doc Brown gives him some futuristic clothes, and he's got the awesome Auto Nikes, which...
Oh, yeah. Didn't they just make those? Like, they're working on it.
They made them, but they weren't quite the same. They were extortionately expensive. I was so disappointed. But yeah, the Auto Nikes, and he's got the automatic adjusting coat and the hat. Now, I saw this film at the cinema when I was about 6 years old, and I wanted a hoverboard. My father,
who doesn't?
Yeah.
My father teased me. He said, "I've got your hoverboard. It's up in the attic, but you're not allowed to have it yet because they're illegal in this country at the moment." For years, I believed him.
That's evil, man.
But yeah, I also wanted the hat. And for like 20 years, I wanted the hat, and finally got it like last year.
That's really cool. I mean, I guess in 4 years we all be wearing them since they're from the future.
Well, it's quite funny actually. If you look at the kind of fashions in the film, the future fashions, it's not too dissimilar from now. So it's a bit funny, really.
Is that art imitating life or life imitating art? Do you think?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we see it with films all the time, but yeah. So little bit of film talk there. I'll notice Fab's wearing his
Yutani, the Wayland Yutani hoodie, which is awesome. So if you don't know what that's from, that's obviously from Alien or Aliens. Actually, the logo is from Aliens, I think.
I've got a little friend with me today.
Cute. That's awesome. That is awesome. I love that alien design. I think in the first film they just call it the company, if I'm correct.
Yes, that is correct.
And later on, then it's. Do you actually know how the name came about? I read that it's really an interesting story. So the guy who was working on all the designs for Alien, the first movie, was thinking in the future, because right now it's all like American centric, and he thought, how cool would it be if in the future, like the Japanese and the British come back, like the British Empire comes back. So the Wayland is actually from, he actually wanted Leland.
Right, yeah, like
the car company, and Yutani is obviously the Japanese part. So that's where that comes from. This is awesome. This is like just rat holes. The show of rat holes.
That's the whole point of the show. So my theory was that everybody's got a hat, and every hat has a story, and
that's
I think
so
that should
true.
be a good kind of leading on. But speaking of your hat specifically, Andy, we were all at Ogg Camp recently in Surrey, in Farnham in Surrey, down south. I say recently; it's actually about 2 months ago now. It doesn't feel that long. But yeah, we saw Stuart Langridge there, who otherwise known as Ack from Lug Radio fame, that some people watching this might know. Now he's the most kind of belligerent guy I think I've ever met. He's never backs down on anything, and the only subject I've ever seen him back down about is your hat. Because we were in the bar. I think Fab actually missed this. We were in the pub, and Ack came in and went, "What's that hat? That's bollocks," and or something, and started going on about how stupid it was. And then you explained to him what it was, and he went, "Actually, that's quite cool." And then I've never actually seen him back down. So well done for being the only man to make a angry ginger bloke back down.
Well, I did. I remember meeting him first because he was talking to you actually in the pub, and I kind of probably cheekily butted in because he was talking about something about that was it. He was saying Manchester didn't have any good music acts, and I was saying that's bollocks. What about Joy Division? What about New Order? They, and because obviously we all here share a passion with music, and me and Ack got into a rather heated debate about what constitutes a remix and what constitutes as a cover.
Wow. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Between a remix and a cover.
And it was awesome. I mean, most people that probably saw that conversation probably thought we were a bunch of twats arguing about nothing. And we probably were. But I enjoyed the debate. I always enjoy a debate like that with someone because, if you're having a conversation with someone and there's a passion there, you can tell it's from the heart. Doesn't matter what subject it's about, as long as there's passion there, you can actually have a decent conversation. So that was my first meeting with Ack, and he is awesome. And I've told him
he's great. Awesome. Arguing with Ack is like one of the best experience you can have in a pub, I think.
Probably. I was more worried that you were going to end up like rolling over tables, and I would have to separate you and stuff. But no, that didn't happen, so that's cool. That's very good. So yeah, it's the only thing I've ever seen him back down over. So as I say, congratulations on that one. But I mean, we're all geeks, so we can definitely talk about technology stuff. Now I know you both actually have been running Arch. I don't think Fab is at the moment, but Andy, you're now running Arch again. So why don't you tell us a bit about that? What made you want to run Arch Linux again?
Yeah, well, I've been dabbling with Linux for quite a few years, since probably about 98, 99. And when I first got SUSE Linux 6, I went back then. That was like when it was all text mode installers. It took me about a week to figure out how to get it installed, because I'd come from a Windows world and I was like 16 and had no clue, having to partition my drive and all that stuff. And back then, I think it took me about a week as well to get my sound card drivers compiled into the kernel. It was really it was a mess. It's miles away from what we've got today with the kernel modules and things just being automatically detected. It's great. And I got back into Linux a couple of years ago when I moved back to Widnes at the end of 2008, and I started with Crunchbang, and that's kind of how I got involved with the Liverpool Lug, because I met Andy Doof through Crunchbang forums, Crunchbang is great. I love Crunchbang. Core Nominal, Philip Newborough, he knows that I love Crunchbang. But Crunchbang is great, and all Ubuntu based, distros are great, but they're a bit too simplified, if you know what I mean. It does a lot for you, which is great if you just want to get up and running. But from the perspective of like learning how things work, how things are configured, it's not too clear, because it's all done for you. Of course, the config files are well documented and stuff, but if you're doing it from scratch, you gain a lot of understanding. And I thought I'd try out Arch because obviously it's done with the ethos of building up your system from scratch, and it is great. I've had a really fun time just messing about with it and trying to get it work. I've been a little bit frustrated occasionally, and
I think we all have.
Yeah, I think last week I actually said, fuck it, I'm putting Windows back on. I'm sick of my wireless disconnecting on me, and Windows lasted about a day before I put the back on.
That's good. So, do you have WPA2?
I do, yes.
I had lots of issues with WPA2 in it's not Arch's fault, I think. I think it's actually the kernel. I had to mess around with WPA supplicant and all kinds of crap.
I think there might be an issue with my particular wireless card, and it's an Atheros AR92.
Yeah, I had an Atheros as well. I think that's a problem.
Yeah, it's not a great card, but it works for the most part. It's just occasionally it'll drop the connection. It's just so annoying, but I'm persevering with it because I love a command line.
Arch is cool, but like to me, the worst thing that can happen when you run Arch. Like if you run Arch, once you have set it up, it's awesome. You can upgrade it. It's totally easy. You can, because it's rolling. You can just keep upgrading it. And then my machine died, and now it's gone. It just died.
Oh, that machine, yeah.
Yeah, my laptop. I think it was it must have been a power thing. It looked like the power supply on the motherboard got fried, but also fried like half of the motherboard. It was like totally broken. And now, I have a replacement laptop, but I don't have the time right now. The thing is, I probably have the time, but I don't know, if you set up Arch, it's not so much a time thing. You need I'd say 1 day. I'd probably need 1 day, but I said to Dan on this Outlaws, it's kind of a Zen thing. I really need a day where I can concentrate on doing it. Looking up, it's new hardware now. I have to look up certain things on the Arch wiki and that, and I don't have the time right now.
Well, I did the same thing.
Peace of mind.
I took a whole day. I said to myself, right, I'm going to set a whole day to sort this out. And, in a couple of hours, I got a base system up and running. By the end of the night, I had OpenBox running. I had my theme sorted out the way I wanted it. If you put enough time into it, obviously you get it up and running. But like you say, you do kind of need to set aside some time for it. Like you say, it's very zen.
I used XFCE, which I think took a lot of the pain out of it, because at the point where you I don't know how hard it would be to actually install GNOME. I know that GNOME, not GNOME 3, but GNOME 2 in most distributions is very customized. So if you just install GNOME 2, it looks totally different than what you're used to. With XFCE, it's awesome. You just install it and you change the wallpaper, and maybe I changed the the bars, the dot position. That I changed that a little bit, but it's basically the desktop works. You just install it on the wiki test, install XFCE extras, and blam, you're done. That's actually pretty easy.
What are you running on yours, Dan, at the moment?
I'm running Ubuntu actually, but I'm actually running a very out of date Ubuntu. Well, not very out of date. I'm running what is it now? I think it's 10.10 on my studio machine.
That Maverick?
I'm running, I forget the names. The code names are lost on me. Yeah, I think it is Maverick. I forget, but it's 10.10, and it keeps saying to me, "Would you like to upgrade to Ubuntu 11.04?" Which I don't want to do, because that means Unity, obviously. I don't really want that. Not on my studio machine. And
10.10 is Maverick Meerkat, by the way.
Yeah, there you go. So it started. It's been doing that for months, just popping up occasionally, saying to me, "Do you want to install 11.04?" And it hasn't popped up with do you want to install 11.10 yet, which has just come out. So that's interesting. I'm going to wait until that pops up. But it has happened on my netbook. On my netbook, I've got 11.04 actually that I've been testing. I say testing. I installed it to do a review, and it's been on there for about 3 months or something. So I will at some point get it. But I'm going to try upgrading to the new one and see how it goes. Just because now I believe there's no option but to use Unity. They've taken out the Ubuntu Classic, as they were calling it. So it's a matter of whether I can get used to that single menu, universal menu thing, which is my main problem with it at the moment. The rest of it I don't mind. It's just that universal menu really pisses me off.
Yeah, me as well. Actually, I have a question, since I think Andy is also an Android guy. I think we're both waiting on the Nexus Prime. And as viewers on the video might have noticed, I just had to turn off, like a few minutes ago, I had to stealthily turn off my phone because I left it running. So why don't we just talk about Android? So what are you running at the moment, and what phone do you use?
At the moment, I've got a Nexus S running stock Android 2.3 Gingerbread. The latest one that was updated. I can't remember what point build it is, but it's the latest that was put out. And I've been an Android fanatic since pretty much the beginning. Prior to that, I was very Nokia. I was a Nokia guy, and before that, I was a Scion guy. Back when the Scion handhelds were the top dog. So I've got a bit of a geekery background in the Nokia and the Symbian world. And as soon as I started using Android, it was like this blows Symbian out of the fucking water.
You're actually one of the few, like, I don't know, but you're like the first real Symbian guy I hear that say. Like, there's still people like Nokia. There's still Nokia people now that are hanging on to Nokia and Symbian. And whenever I say Android, they're like, oh yeah, but Symbian is so great. I'm always like, it just doesn't compare.
Well, see, there's one thing that I do miss about Symbian, and that's the power management. Symbian has always been amazing with power management. Back with the Scions, you could run a Scion Series 5 handheld like on a month on 2 AA batteries. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, Android has that whole Java thing running in the background.
Yeah, well, see, one of the things, the main differences between Android and Symbian that some people don't quite get is the fact that Android is always on, it's always connected, and obviously that puts a power drain. Symbian isn't so much always, with the push notifications and that kind of thing. So Symbian has that to its advantage. But as much as I love Symbian, and as much as I am kind of sad to see it kind of squander in the way that Nokia has left it, because they've let it squander.
Oh yeah, they totally killed it.
Laurels, and they've not pushed it forward. But Android is better in my opinion. It's got the location-based services that Symbian doesn't really have, from what I can see. It's just got features that are more relevant to
the apps. Basically, are what they're doing it right. I mean,
I wouldn't even say that. I mean, I've installed a few third-party apps and stuff, but I know like loads of people, and probably yourself and Dan, you have probably installed loads.
My whole phone is full. It's like to the rim. It's like full of crap.
I have to keep cleaning mine out because I'm on the old the original HTC Desire, which only has I think 128 meg of internal storage. And I know you can move apps to the SD card, which is one of the things that I do, but not all apps can be moved to the SD card. Some of them have to be on the
Dude, what you need is the new CyanogenMod mod.
Yeah, I know. You can partition it.
You can now move everything to the SD card, even stuff. But the problem is, this is kind of interesting because you can even move stuff that breaks. Like, for example, if you move widgets to the SD card, they have to be there when the desktop comes up, right? Otherwise, it'll say widget not found. It'll just won't update the widget. And you can even move like Google Maps to the. I think everything but YouTube. I think.
Huh, okay. Well, I do need to try the new Cyanogen mod, but as I've talked about on the Linux Outlaws, I've been having some problems with it lately. It won't work. And I had an interesting thing last night, actually. I don't know if I'll be able to show you if it's on the screen. No, it's not. But there's a thing keeps popping up telling me that my version of SU is out of date, SU. It says your SU binary is out of date, and I'm thinking, Really?
Dude, as you said on LO, to go back to Alien, you need to nuke it from orbit.
I need to nuke it from orbit. Yeah, it's the only way to be safe.
Are you using ROM Manager? The Clockwork Mod ROM Manager application.
Yeah.
You might be able to update it through that, because my sister, she bought my Nexus One off me. That's how I was able to afford the Nexus S, and she's actually going to buy this off me so I can afford the Nexus Prime.
that's a good thing.
Yeah. So, but yeah, she bought my Nexus One, and I put Cyanogen mod on it months ago. And because the new one just came out like last week, I told her, look, the new Cyanogen mod is out. When you come over, because she came over last week, I said I'll sort it out for you, and she said, well, ROM Manager came up and with an alert telling me there's a new Cyanogen mod.
Yeah.
I didn't want to press anything in case I messed it up, because she's not very confident with Android phones. She's she's a little bit technical, but nowhere near like what I am with Linux or whatever. And I went through it with her, and it was dead simple and dead easy.
It's also I would even say everybody can do it themselves. There's like as long as you have some storage on the phone, there's like a checkbox. When you install it, it says, wipe cache and stuff. And there's a checkbox like back up my old ROM. And as long as you use that, even if it breaks, you can always, like from the boot menu, you can always go back.
Boot it back.
I think it actually boots. I think the new version actually boot. If the boot fails, it will actually revert to your old ROM automatically.
That's quite clever.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, but I'm gonna just to kind of blow that whole discussion out of the water. It doesn't work. It doesn't work on my phone. Yeah.
Your phone is fucked.
I've got ROM Manager installed, and it keeps popping up like 3 times or 4 times a day going, did you know there's a new Cyanogen mod? So you click to install it, it downloads it, reboots the phone, and says, there was an error. Please report this error. Doesn't tell you what the error is. And then you have to reboot it, and it just goes back into... And then when I tried to search for help on this, I found the only thing I could find was someone having the same problem with the same device who posted on a forum about it 3-4 months ago. And never got a response, never got an answer. So the only thing I can think is I've messed something up somewhere, and I need to, as you say, wipe it.
It might be because wasn't the HTC Desire didn't have like a weird thing with the bootloader or something? Didn't it have to be
unlocked,
hacked a little bit weird? Because with the Nexus phones and with like the G1 or the Android developer phone, you can just run fastboot unlock OEM unlock. And it's
that's
done.
Why I will only buy Nexus phones.
Yes.
This is the best thing ever.
I don't think you can do that with any other Android phone. I think that's the Nexus ones are the only ones that really support that, and I think you have to do different workarounds on the
I've got to do it manually. Basically, I'm going to have to do it. What I normally do is I do like ROM Manager. I've got it installed, but what I normally do is download the zip and put it on the SD card, and then install it from Clockwork Recovery mod.
Yeah.
But I've tried that as well, and that failed a couple of times. It keeps saying there's a problem. It just says bad script or something. So I don't know what the hell's going on. Who knows? But this was this. I'm going to hold it up to the camera again. This is it was just bought with O2, so it was locked to O2. It is still locked to O2, and it was also locked as well. So I had to do the root thing with what's that tool? Unrevoked, it's called. I had to use that, and it's when I try to update the SU binary, it says you cannot do this on certain phones that are locked with blah blah blah, and that's what it comes up with as an error, and it tells me I've got to do it manually or something. So I think I've got to do the whole unrevoked.
Yeah, it's probably relocked itself for some reason.
Yeah.
Somehow it's relocked itself.
The bastards!
You don't have to go for that rigmarole with the official Google Experience phones. That's why I've always gone with them.
But I think there are more phones doing that. I mean, there were lots of manufacturers now saying they won't lock the bootloader anymore. So
yes, HTC
and
recently
I think
out with that, didn't they?
I think Motorola as well.
Yes.
And Motorola is now Motorola, so I think they'll only do Nexus phones now or something.
Okay, so here's a good question, seeing as we've got Andy on, and he's my go-to mobile expert on these things. What do you reckon to the whole Google buying Motorola thing? What's that? What do you reckon they're trying to do? And what's the thing behind
like? I've seen the cringe-worthy, portmanteau of Googorola, which I just think is silly. I don't understand this compulsion.
Motorola, man.
It's like the whole thing they do with celebrities with what do you remember the worst one I ever thought was that Benifer thing they used to say for
What?
Ben do you not remember that? There was really bad celebrity news when Jennifer Lopez was going out with, or I think she was might have even been married to Ben Affleck. They started calling them collectively Benifer because they need one. They need
so
one collective name.
I am so glad that I missed that entirely.
That's kind of like Debian, isn't it?
Well, they do it with everything now. They're shortening the names, and I'm one to talk about this because I shorten everyone's name, as Andy or Andrew well knows. Now they're doing things like, Susan Boyle, that singer. They're calling her Subo. What the? I mean, why can't we say more than 5 characters in someone's name? Why do they have to be Subo?
Yeah, it's silly, but I don't like the whole Google roller thing. I think it's silly, but talking, properly about it, I think it is literally just a case of them trying to get hold of those patents. I don't really think that there's going to be any kind of like massive, intervention by Google on Motorola's side. I think
there will be. I think they will run them as their own company. But I think what they'll do is they'll build phones and they'll push the stuff through that they wanted to push through with the other carriers. Basically, they will make those phones update. They will update them in time. The biggest problem for Google with Android is that these carriers take months, in some cases years, or they don't even update the phone. They recently put pressure on them and said, now if you want like this with Google experience, you have to actually sign something that says you will update the phone for the next 18 months. And I think they'll use like the Motorola phones to pressure these other carriers into adopting this as well. They'll just update them, and then people will get pissed off with like HTC when they bring out the phone. Like even now they're putting out phones with like old Android versions, like 2.3.
Yeah.
And they obviously have no desire whatsoever to update them. It's
but a lot of the phones you get in shops now still have like 2.1.
Yeah,
it's 2.3.
There's still phones being released now with 1.5.
Really?
It's ridiculous.
That's atrocious. People should go to jail for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's an argument, the whole Apple versus Android thing, and Fab knows what my stance on Apple is, and I know what his stance is, and Dan knows what my stance on Apple is. But one thing
you're a freedom hater.
Well, one thing they have right is that whether you get an AT&T iPhone or a Verizon iPhone or an O2 iPhone here in the UK or Orange or whatever, the OS is not hampered. Well, I say it's not hampered. I've heard reports of some carriers in the US that are slapping down the tethering.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the OS is untouched by the carriers. Obviously, with Androids,
you can't do that. Apple just has a EULA or whatever, like they have a license with the carrier that says you can't touch our OS.
Yeah. Well, it's a point of frustration for a lot of users because when people think Android, they think it's just like one particular thing. When in actual fact, it's not. We've got Motorola with the Motor Blur. We've got HTC with the HTC Sense. Yeah. We've got Samsung with that piece of shit TouchWiz.
Come on, Sense is a piece of shit as well. That's security vulnerability.
I view them all as a piece of shit. I've always been a big proponent for stock Android.
I think the problem is what I really find frustrating is, and this is down a lot to the Silicon Valley tech press. They are blaming Google for faults in Android phones. That is not Google's fault. They are blaming them for exactly this. When the carriers are at fault and the equipment, the OEMs like HTC, they're at fault. They need to feel the pressure from their users. Like if you compare their Android phones to an iPhone and the fact that you can't get an OS update on the Android phone, that is their fault. They could update that. They could update the Desire. Like the hardware is not that old. I mean, even Google, I eventually installed CyanogenMod because Google took their sweet time to ship Gingerbread to the Nexus. But they did, and they were by far, no other phone that you didn't buy with Gingerbread ever got a Gingerbread update. And there is no reason for that. I understand they need to have QA and all that kind of stuff, but come on. Apple can do it as well.
Well, the carriers, as you said, they're a big factor, and obviously the manufacturers, they're putting a slowdown on things, and you can be waiting like upwards of 6-9 months for like an update, and 4.0 is literally like tonight it's going to be announced.
Yes,
so,
I can't wait. Nerdgasm.
It's ridiculous that there's 4.0 is coming out tonight, and there's still phones out there that are stuck on Froyo.
Yeah,
2.2.
They screw you over. Like over here, I always laugh about the fact I work by an O2 store or like a telecom T-Mobile store, and they're like on the eve of the new iPhone coming out. Like it's like 1600 UTC over here. You know that Apple's holding their conference, right? And like a week before, they put up like banners, the new iPhone 4, like when the iPhone 4S is coming out, like today, they're putting up banners like, get the new iPhone 4. And they're like screwing over people who they know in Germany have no fucking clue that the new iPhone will come out like today. And they're like willfully screw them over. I've fought the urge a few times to just walk into that store and go, what the fuck are you doing? You just sold an iPhone 4 to that guy. You are aware that you're screwing him over, right? I mean, God.
I guess I'm kind of on the fence there. I think if someone is too ignorant to know, it's kind of their own fault.
But yeah, but even Apple, like you can say about Apple whatever you want, but if you buy a device from them and a week later the new device comes out, I think in a lot of cases they actually hold your order, or they offer you like they're saying, hold on, we can't fulfill this order for a week, and then they write you an email, the new iPhone just came out, don't you want that? And they do that with all their devices. So at least they do that. But like these carriers, I mean, they don't even know that they're in the fucking phone business. I'm with O2, right? I get text messages from them every week about some Christina Aguilera concert. They're like trying to tell me
Christina Aguilera.
I know. They're not fucking concert promoters. They should keep their bloody network running. That is worse enough, right? I mean.
Well, this is the whole, what do they call it now? This convergence, is it? They say now? Like, so every phone company now wants to be a hardware company and
conversion my ass
provider. Well, that's what's happened in this country. Anyway, it's happening all the time. So you've got like some Sky and Virgin Media and people like that. Years ago it would have been Sky did television. Now Sky does broadband. They also want to get you to have their phone service. They'll want to get you to have a Sky mobile probably at some stage. So they want to have this whole kind of lock over all of your entertainment and technology life, and then decide what concerts you should go to as well.
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting discussion, actually, particularly with the mobile carriers, because, I'm sure all of us here can agree that probably over the past 5 years, we've all used our mobile phones less and less for SMS and voice calls. And more for data.
Yes, because they rip you off on SMS. It's like what's it? $100 a megabyte or something, or 1,000? Yeah.
But I mean, I think we can all agree here that we use our mobile phones more as internet-connected devices rather than your traditional voice over wireless kind of thing.
Totally.
And the networks are shitting themselves because that was their business. That was their business model. It's a similar thing to the music industry and downloads and stuff. They're fucking crapping themselves at the moment.
Yeah, but the problem is, I'd understand if they do it right. Yeah, the problem is they're fucking moron. If Google opened the mobile carrier tomorrow, and they would send me text messages, right? They will send me text messages about the next Bob Dylan concert because they know. The people complain about Google ads, but at least they're not fucking advertising Christina Aguilera concerts because they know that I'm interested in Bruce Springsteen and John Fogerty, and that the likelihood that I'll also go to a Christina Aguilera concert is about like 0. Bastards.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But speaking of music, that brings us nicely on to music. Actually, I'm just looking at the clock and realizing that we should probably wrap it up in a few minutes. So we need to talk about music because this is what we spent most of our trip down to Odd Camp and back doing. in the car. So yeah, we should talk about music. So tell us a bit about your music stuff, Andy, because you produce music, and you got into. How did you get into all that, and where did that come from?
Well, I've always been, pretty into music since I was a kid. And I've always been more towards like electronic stuff. I grew up listening to Jean-Michel Jarre. And as a kid, I realized now later on, because I found out, but as a kid, I figured out I was into industrial music. So there's an industrial track in RoboCop in the club scene, which is actually by Ministry and Skinny Puppy. And then there's an old, quite famous advert by Pirelli, the tire makers, where a guy is running across water and he's got tire for feet. That's an Aphex Twin track, which I was into by the time I was 11. So I've always, been into something with a bit of a harder edge. And
so you were on the hard stuff at a young age, is what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. Growing up through my teens, I got heavily into Nine Inch Nails, and that, Trent Reznor made me want to make my own music. So I looked into stuff like EJ for the computer. And I branched off, and I eventually went to music tech in college and learned how to use Cubase and synthesizers and stuff like that. And since then I've been dabbling in making music, electronic based stuff. Admittedly, for about the past 4 years, my output has been like nothing, zero. Personal issues and stuff aside, I've not really had much inspiration, but lately I have been feeling it really badly. My problem is I need to unplug my Ethernet cable and get off the internet.
Yeah, I know.
Get off Google Plus.
Yeah.
What are you doing on this show?
I'll just hang up. Hold on.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna unplug. Hopefully before the end of the year. If not, definitely.
You did it last week when we tried to record the show.
That wasn't my fault. That was fucking Virgin.
Richard Branson.
Bastards.
Yeah, Richard Branson's laughing and stroking a white cat.
Yeah, he's on Google Plus. I believe he posted that he disconnected our show.
Well, funnily enough, Richard Branson does have a bit of an Aphex Twin look to him.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, my music stuff is more electronic based. I know you, Dan. You've dabbled a bit with electronic stuff as well.
Dan listens to everything. Actually, the pictures down here, like on my screen for this hangout, are perfect because we're like at the opposite side of the spectrum, and Dan's in the middle. So that kind of represents the music spectrum. You're like the electronic guy, I'm the guitar guy, and Dan's in the middle. He listens to fucking everything.
Yeah,
I'm the voice of reason.
See, me and Dan can really talk about stuff because he's into all these old school hip hop and electro and stuff like that. So that's definitely down my street. And
cool.
I listen to guitar stuff as well. I've got Joy Division.
Hey, I own the Tron soundtrack. What can I say?
There you go. You see, it's all kind of converging. I talked about convergence already.
I do listen to eclectic stuff. My girlfriend is continually amazed or disgusted by my love for Frontalot. Who's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I love him. I love Frontalot. Yeah, he is quality. Anyway, so have you got stuff out online at the minute that you'd be happy for people to listen to, or anywhere people could go and download something?
I've got a SoundCloud page. I mean, there's stuff on there that's not finished. There's demo stuff, but I'd be more than happy to throw a link up on.
Yeah,
I'll link that on the YouTube page.
This is the point where we need the the kind of the title thing that they have on Twitter.
Just go like that. You can do that. The problem is, I figured out on YouTube you can link. I can put like a thing at the bottom that people can click on, but you can only link to other videos. You can't link off site from YouTube, which is, I think, to prevent
spam.
spam.
To put his URL into a YouTube video.
I'll do a special. No, I'll put it in the content, on YouTube in the commentary for the episode.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we should wrap it up. I know we could talk for hours and hours, and we might well do after we finish recording. But yeah, I want to try and keep the show to about 40 minutes or so at most, just so people can watch it like an episode of a TV program or something. Yeah. So thank you very much for joining us, Andy. I know I'll see you very soon at Live Lug or one of these other things. Yeah, if people want to find you on Google Plus, it's Andrew Bates is what they need to look for. Is that right?
Yep.
Cool.
I'll of course, since this is like Tech Talk Plus, I'll announce the show on Google Plus, and I'll put all the profiles on there.
Okay, cool. Sweet.
Well,
all right.
Thank you very much for having me on, guys. It's been awesome.
I think you proved yourself. I think I won't preempt Dan, but I think we can say you can leave your hat on, which means we'll have you back at some point.
Excellent.
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
We'll be right back.